Let's be honest, being a content creator can be a bit of a slog, but it doesn't have to be. Today, I'm running through 8 AI tools that can supercharge your workflow so you can become a 10x content creator. I'll also be showing the website where I found a bunch of these tools, so you'll want to stick around for that. I'm Ollie, and in this video, I'll be covering each of these AI tools, their unique features, and how you can seamlessly integrate them into your content creation workflows. Because I know how much it can suck staring at a blank screen, just waiting for inspiration to strike, let's strike that inspiration by starting off with Perplexity.ai. Right out of the box, it has a very similar vibe to the conversational ChatGPT, so you can do your usual search and things like that. But in the sidebar, you've got a discover option, which is pretty neat if you want to see what some of the trending topics are. The main attraction though is the search. So you've got this nice interface that summarizes information from a variety of different sources on the web. It helps to simplify the process of finding and understanding complex information. And it also gives you those sources that it obtained all of that information from, which ChatGPT does not. So if I put in here something like how to make a YouTube video, I click search, you'll see it pulls answers from a bunch of different sources and it'll give you an explanation for how to make a YouTube video. It even does a pretty neat thing on the side here, which gives you links to videos that are relevant to your search. The really killer feature for me though is the fact that you can click into these sources so you can go and do more of your own research if you like, or let's say you're searching for a more controversial question and maybe it pulled answers from a news outlet or a blog that might take up a particularly biased view. You can go in and do your own research on those specific links. ChatGPT, on the other hand, prefers to give you more of a one-size-fits-all opinion, hoping to cover as much ground as possible in like a trust me bro kind of approach. I like Perplexity a lot. Sometimes it feels like the accuracy can be a little bit off with some of the responses, so I do find myself going back to ChatGPT more often. But if you want to locate the sources that you're receiving the information from, Perplexity is the winner here. I wish actually that OpenAI did implement this feature because it would be awesome in ChatGPT and I would depend a lot less on other tools. But for now, Perplexity gets a 4 out of 5 for me. Now, this one is pretty nuts and definitely one of my favorite on the list. So next up, we have 11 Labs. First of all, it can generate realistic voiceovers and dialogue in various accents and even languages. So if I just type something in here, I wonder what life is like on Mars. You can select a voice if you want. I'll just keep it as George for now. And you can tweak the settings. I'll keep these as default and just click generate.
I wonder what life is like on Mars.
First of all, the speech sounds incredible because you can hear the different inflections in the voice and the curiosity in the question itself. But that's just text-to-speech, right? Nothing too impressive on the surface. The wildest part here is that with a long enough sample, it can generate a clone of someone's voice. So if I go over down to voices and I click add generative or clone voice, you can see that there's a few options. You've got voice design, where you can design your own, instant voice cloning, which is the one that I'll be using if you're a paid user, which is only $3 or $5 a month. And then you can also access your library. And then if you want a more professional voice cloning option, you can do that here. But for now, we'll go with instant voice cloning. You can name it. So I'll just name it Ollie. And you can put your own samples if you want to by recording directly onto your device. Or something which I'm going to do is upload a few samples of my own. I'll upload 4 of these samples of previous shorts that I've created for other YouTube videos. And we'll wait for those to upload. You can add a label if you want, a description, but we're going to test it raw and just see how it does without any help. Okay, so I've just put a prompt in here. It says, you should check out some of my other YouTube videos, and let's generate and see how it does in comparison.
You should check out some of my other YouTube videos.
The accent's pretty good. It's not exactly the right inflections that I would use, but there's no way for it to know that based on just 4 samples. You can put up to 25 samples in the cloning of the voice. I just didn't have enough samples to give it. So the future looks fun. Oh, and one more thing that 11 Labs can do. I can even dub in my own voice. So if I go down to dubbing, and let's say that I want to create a dub in Mandarin Chinese, the source language it can detect from the video that I'll upload to it, and the output will be Chinese. So now I just need to upload a video. I'll use this one of a previous YouTube video of mine on how roasts work. If you want to check that one out, I'll link it. You can see here, you can select a source from YouTube or TikTok or X or Vimeo, whatever you want to put. But for now, I'll just upload a video. And all I need to do is click create. Again, give it some time to process. And that's it. It's done. So let's view it.
本质上这是一个网站评论服务，但它有点小小的专遮，因为这是人们给出的猛烈反馈。 又是你真的无法从家人、朋友甚至同事那里获得，这对于深入了解一些登录页面、产品等问题至关重要。可能有网
Now, I have no way of determining whether or not that was accurate. So if I have any Chinese subscribers out there, please confirm. So yeah, overall, 11 Labs is one of the most dope websites I've tried recently. I could have fun with this for hours. I mean, I could also be productive and try generating some dubs into other languages for my YouTube channel. For me, this site gets a 5 out of 5. It's so awesome to use. It's easy, it's fun, and it's innovative. It just works perfectly. Every example that I've tried previously, and sometimes when there are little errors here and there, you can tweak the settings to your satisfaction so you can customize it the way that you actually want it to be. But the killer features for me, like cloning my voice and then dubbing it into another language in my own voice and accent, really tipped the scale for me. So yeah, a perfect score. And another tool that got a perfect score in a separate video that I did, if you want to check that one out, is called SocialButterflyAI, and it's awesome for generating music. So it's so much fun to use and hilarious. Now we've got Meetgeek, and let's face it, nobody watches a meeting back after it's finished. And as a content creator, you're going to need to be prepared for a bunch of meetings, whether that's with team members, freelancers, or even sponsors. And if you're like me and you've realized you've been sitting on a meeting for hours and you don't actually remember anything that was said, well then Meetgeek might be useful for you too. It might just save your memory and your YouTube channel. It's essentially an AI meeting assistant that automatically records and transcribes meetings that you've enabled it for. You can see here that you can sync up your calendar with it so that it automatically transcribes all the meetings, which is super useful if you know you're going to have back-to-back meetings all day and it's a bit of a slog. It's even got super nice workflows that you can use to sync up to some of your favorite integrations if you like. Google Calendar, Google Drive, Zapier, Trello, Notion, HubSpot, Salesforce, Slack, the list goes on. And you can even automate some of those workflows, which is very cool. So basically no more need for note taking or spending countless hours trying to write out or summarize everything that was said by people on a call. This pretty much does it all for you. And it even creates a nice summary of everything that was said so you don't have to sift through all of it yourself. It's cool because it aims to make meetings more productive by providing some insights and highlights to review and follow up with. It's obviously a lot more of a dedicated use case than some of the other examples that I've got in this video. And there are a bunch of other apps out there right now that do the exact same thing as this, but it works well for what it advertises. I do wish it were possible to join a meeting without actually having the meeting assistant join with you. More of a covert way of transcribing these calls would be awesome. But aside from that, I think it's very useful. I'd give it a 4 out of 5. The reason that I don't give it a little bit higher is because some of the UI and UX is a little difficult to get used to at first, but once you do, it's easy to get up and running. Now, sliding into the world of AI writing assistants, we've got Writer. If you feel stuck writing your scripts for some video ideas and you want to have a more conversational approach to writing some of this content, then Writer has a nice simple interface to achieve it. You don't need a tutorial. I was up and running in a couple of clicks and it was pretty easy to get around the interface. So getting into it, it's a rich text editor. I'll go into why it's perhaps not rich enough in a little bit, but there's something unique actually that I haven't seen in other applications. You can tell it what vibe you're kind of going for, and you can decide whether you want it to be assertive, awestruck, candid, casual, convincing, critical, whatever kind of tone you think that this document or paragraph of text should achieve. You can do that by selecting it in here. So you can also select the use case that you're writing for. Let's just stick with video idea, but there's options like blog, business idea pitch, call to actions, emails, interview questions, job descriptions, everything that you can think of, you can find in this use case drop down. And then you've got keywords. So let's say you are writing a script for YouTube. In here, you can input a couple of keywords where it relates to the type of video that you're creating. So let's say it's about the benefits of going to the gym. So in here, I'll just put gym, comma, benefits, and we can decide how many variants we want it to spit out. I'll stick with one for now. And we can also see how creative we want the output to be. So again, I'll leave it at optimal, but you can choose between low to high. When you select write for me, it generates a header. So top 10 surprising benefits of going to the gym that you didn't know about. Not bad. But what about if we wanted to expand on that a little bit? So if we select the header, there's a little writer logo over here. You can select that. You can change the tone again from here. You can improve or rephrase it. You can add multiple variants like I said before, but then also you can expand on it. So if I click change length, expand, now it starts to give me more detail about that specific thing that I'm writing about. Okay, pretty good. So then if you wanted to keep expanding that into, let's say, an entire YouTube video script, you can click continue writing and it will continue writing for you without you having to do anything. Perhaps you've already got a script that you want rephrased. Let's say that we had already written this section of a script, and in here we can go to improve or rephrase and it does it for us. So we don't need to do anything. So let's delete this one And let's say that you're writing a blog. In the blog, you want the blog to be about what makes a good YouTube video. You can input keywords here if you want as well, but we'll leave that blank. So we click write for me, and it creates a chunk of text in that tone of voice in relation to the header that you put in. And again, if you want to expand on it, you can by just clicking here, changing the length, shorten it or expand it. We'll go expand, and it can just continue writing out as much as you need for as long as you want. It's pretty solid stuff. That doesn't sound like ChatGPT made it. It's definitely not perfect, and I'd appreciate some ChatGPT level of intelligence to go into this, because that would make it really cool. But it works as a decent writing assistant, I'll be honest. A super nice feature here is being able to highlight an area. So let's take this part of a sentence and explaining how you would prefer it to be. So if I click in here, there's an input field where I can tell Writer what to do. So we can say, make this more dramatic, and it will, or you can change it to your preference, however you'd prefer it to be. That's pretty neat. I think, however, this tool won't be for everyone. I think some people don't really care about the tone of voice of their content, and they also don't need to interact with it on a personal level, in depth, like you do with an assistant, for example. But for those that do, it's a reliable option as a co-pilot. It would be nice if Writer had a bit more of a fleshed out approach to the rich text editing, if I'm completely honest. Similar to Notion, for example, where you input a slash and you get a drop down of text blocks that you can select from, whether you want a header, body text, dividers, whatever it might be. I think stuff like that would be pretty cool if it was in Writer as well. Also, the persistent create options when you're doing some file management aren't necessary, so I'm not quite sure why they've got that in there, as when you want to access previous documents, you can't write at the same time. So it's a bit confusing to me, that decision. And I think the file management would just be better off as a standalone interaction by itself. But these are UX gripes, and I've had a lot of experience in user experience design. I may be being picky. The writing itself is actually quite cool. The file management needs a bit of work. If I had to rate Writer, I'd give it a 3 out of 5. It's a pretty solid sidekick for writer's block, but there are some things that they need to figure out before they go more mainstream and compete with the likes of Notion. Okay, now we've got Hemingway app, and it's a tool which is designed to enhance the clarity and the readability of your writing. The way that it does it is by finding and then showing you the complex sentences that you've used, passive voice, adverbs, hard to read phrases and things like that. For content creators, Hemingway app is an awesome second pair of eyes. It's especially good for those who write YouTube scripts or blog posts like myself. The app essentially grades your text's readability and suggests changes for you to make your message clearer to more people. It's got an edit mode, which we're in right now, got a write mode as well. If we go into edit mode, it makes writing super easy. So it helps take a chunk of text that you've already written, or ChatGPT, and scores what kind of readability level it's at. So too complex and you get a red highlight. If it's readable by most people, it'll either be green or no highlight at all. So then you can highlight that text that you want to dumb down and click improve and clarify. And then the AI writing assistant gives you a suggestion and tells you the grade in which you've written at, as well as the grade that it suggests. And then you can choose to accept that suggestion, or you can make another suggestion. So if you use it, then it implements it into your text. Another really nice feature is similar to the one that we just saw in Writer. It's not as comprehensive as the one in Writer because it doesn't give you many options, but if you click up here, AI tools, and then you go down to tone, you can select the type of tone that you want it to be. So let's say you want it to be more confident. We select that, and then it will give you a suggestion which sounds more confident than your previous one. And if we use that, this is the result. And here you've got things like phrase alternatives. So if you want, you can change them very quickly with the predefined ones that they've got in here. You can see how well you're doing. So the readability of your content is explained up here as well. And also the number of sentences that use adverbs, passive voice, that have simpler alternatives, the ones which are hard to read, and the ones which are extremely hard to read. I've already started implementing this into my YouTube videos, and so far it seems to be working a treat. Hemingway basically makes your writing a lot more impactful and then easier to understand by default. It does this by essentially focusing on simplicity and precision over complexity. So for this reason, and because it's somewhat of a new favorite of mine, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Well deserved. Okay, so when Adobe announced that they were getting into the AI game, I think there was a lot of skepticism around Adobe Firefly, but they keep continuing to deliver with some absolute firefly. This tool is awesome if you need some inspiration for a YouTube thumbnail or want to brainstorm some ideas for what might go into the video that you're creating. So I'll show you how it works. So you type in a prompt, maybe something like hyper-realistic samurai warrior. Let's make it a little harder. So wielding a sword in a fog of mist. Okay, that should be pretty tough. Not sure what type of videos you'll be creating, but with this type of prompt, pretty dope ones, I imagine. And then I click generate, and then Firefly gets to work and produces some awesome creations. I mean, these are pretty wild. And it gets a lot right when it comes to image generation. It's not quite as accurate as DALL-E, if I'm completely honest. It tends to make mistakes here and there, but you can tweak them in the side panel. So let's, for example, make it a low angle shot, but it's shot from below. And when I click regenerate, it makes some low angle shots, which is pretty insane. And that's still not even the best part. What you can do once you have your image is I go to here and click edit, and I select an area that I want to edit, and I input a prompt. So let's say I want to add a moon shrouded in fog, and I click generate, and that is awesome. It creates it and it looks perfect. I mean, I'm surprised how good this feature really is. It definitely shrinks the number of hours that you would normally edit a thumbnail or an image. It's truly mind-blowing stuff. Let's try something difficult, like trying to change this woman's face. So let's keep this one and try to change her face. So faces are normally quite hard to, but let's change it to an angry face. And I hit generate again. Now remember, it's at an angle and it has to take the rest of the image into context. So let's see how it does. And that is horrifying. This is the type of stuff that will give you nightmares. Okay, so let's keep this really angry. Still though, it works pretty good. I mean, the fact that it was a woman and now it looks like a man is perhaps too much context to take into account, but it still looks pretty good. It gets the angle right, it gets some of the lighting kind of accurate, and it blends with the neck and chin and everything. So it's very, very impressive stuff still. And what Adobe has got going for it is its Apple-like approach to ecosystems. So it's got a huge benefit of seamlessly integrating with some of their apps, like Photoshop, for example. That means you can pretty much tweak or combine all of these elements without ever leaving the Adobe workspace. They've got great UX, perhaps some of the best in the industry, and they're bridging a gap to make some of these generative tools a lot more accessible than many other companies right now. I still wouldn't rely too heavily on Firefly because it's in no way perfect just yet. And like I said, image generation isn't always the best. Finding that sweet spot where Firefly is a collaborator can really 10x your output as a content creator. So given its potential for how we might approach creative projects now and in the future, I'd argue that Firefly is worth exploring for anyone who's looking to push the boundaries a little bit. The tool's ability to turn some of your more abstract ideas into tangible visuals is pretty great, but it has a little bit of a way to go to match the likes of DALL-E, but the editing capability blows anything else out of the water that I've used. So I'll be giving it a solid 5 out of 5 stars. It might seem a little generous on the generative side, but what they're doing, blending the lines between AI and content creation, is second to none. Great stuff, Firefly. Okay, now we've got Veed.io. When I first tried Veed, I initially gave up on it. I thought it was just a video editing tool in the browser, and I'm an avid user of Final Cut, so I didn't really need it. And the fact that it relies on an internet connection to work, which has been known to fail, isn't really the best option. However, I kept seeing some certain features that people were using in their own videos, all of which came from Veed. So a lot of times, I personally need a few things which Veed handles very well as a content creator. Things like shorts, transcribing audio, generating and displaying subtitles. It also has a few funky overlays for your content if you use that type of thing. I don't personally use them, but I know that a lot of YouTube creators that do. So it essentially takes a lot of super time-consuming stuff and makes it much easier for me to create with ease. And a lot of these features do use AI. So here you can see some of my projects. You've got templates. You can create brand kits if you like, but for now, I'll just go into here. So this is a video that's already on YouTube that you can check out if you like. It's about how I built a business in 24 hours. You can see that I've already added subtitles to it, but a feature that's super effective and likely to save you a bunch of time is the magic cut functionality. Go into settings and I click my video timeline. You can see here that there's a few options. So if you like, you can translate voice. There's the magic cut option, which is what I'll go into. You can clean the audio. You can change the eye contact even. You can remove background or remove a color from your video, like green screen. The tool which really impresses me is this magic cut feature because it saves me so much time. What it does is it basically clips all of your long form content into shorter clip segments that could make sense for social media with the click of a button. So all I do is click magic cut, continue, and that's it. It picks your best takes. It removes any awkward pauses. It works well if you want to save time and cut down long form content into short clips. And that, combined with the subtitle generator, it's the best tool that I've seen do this. And just like that, it's finished. So here you can see all of the different segments that it's cut into shorts. And if you like, you can save them individually. If I click a segment here, you can see there's a download option for me to save that individual segment. I wish, however, it didn't just take segments in order so that it could actually transcribe the content that you've uploaded to it and figure out the context of the long form content and then split that into shorts, because perhaps you said something later on in the video at, let's say, the 5-minute mark that you want to use as a hook for the intro to your short. and then you want to use content at the 2-minute mark to continue with that short. That doesn't really take that into account in this. It just cuts up the long form content into what it thinks might be useful as shorts. So adding more context here would be super cool. I know this is a big ask, but the magic cut right now doesn't seem contextually aware. So it could be incredibly useful for content creators. So Veed is not without its limitations, and I definitely wouldn't recommend it for editing a video project. I've tried editing a couple of times in Veed, but either the internet connection has issues or the processing of the project itself has some issues. There's lots of stuttering with the playback and things like that. So I would really recommend it for more like after the fact. Once you've edited your video in Final Cut or Premiere and you want to cut it down to smaller segments or add subtitles or little animations, because those looking for deeper customization options will definitely find it lacking. Again, it's a trade-off between ease of use and the depth of the functionality that you get. The intuitive design of it though, coupled with the robust set of features that you do get, makes some of the editing interactions much quicker. Again though, I must admit that the lag in the browser at times kind of makes you wish that these features existed in Final Cut, but as of right now, they don't. So as someone who creates shorts, Veed gets a 3.5 for me. And if it didn't have that lagging and slow loading at times, I would certainly give it a 4 or even higher. If you're listening, Veed, I really hope that you make some of these improvements soon. There's an old saying about content creators, and it's that they spend 95% of time content creating and 5% marketing, when in reality what's needed is more of a 50-50 split, so that you can have an impactful social presence and reach a wide audience with high quality content. I mean, I'm as guilty as anyone when it comes to this, and that's where SocialButterflyGPT comes along. Let's say you've got a channel but you don't really put much thought into your social presence, like most people don't, and you want to retroactively take action. Well, it might not be too late. I only recently started putting more of a focus on the types of content that I'm putting out there, the timings of it, and trying to plan way ahead so that I can be a little bit more proactive instead of always being behind. Social Butterfly is an AI assistant, a GPT inside ChatGPT. So in ChatGPT, if you didn't know this already, people are building their own highly specialized assistants to help you achieve specific tasks. And Social Butterfly 2.0 is a dedicated assistant for content development and social media strategy. It's able to give nuanced assistance for planning, writing, researching, and even distributing content. Sounds perfect for what you might need as a content creator. Let's say you've got a channel, but you didn't really put much thought into your social presence. It's never too late. Let's dive in and see a few examples. So one of the suggestions is use your web browsing ability to help me pinpoint the top 5 global issues to create content about. So if I select it, it'll start giving me a response on that. And since nobody really knows how algorithms work these days, this assistant might be your best bet. As you can see, it's gathering information from across the web to build an insight into questions like this and give an answer tailored to you. Nice. I'll keep this one brief because it's pretty simple, but giving this one a rating was a little tough because I've actually found the generic ChatGPT to be as good as this in some cases, but it's okay. I mean, if you don't want any distractions in your responses, then this is a great way to go. So because of that, I'm going to go with 3 stars. It's useful, but it could be better. So now, as promised, I said I was going to go into the website where I found all of these AI tools. The website is called Future Tools, and it essentially organizes all of the AI tools so that you can become superhuman. You can filter the types of tools that you want. You can search for them. There's a featured picked list by a guy called Matt, I guess. Perhaps he's the owner of the Future Tools. You can filter as well by newest, most upvoted, and then you can see all of the tools. So it's great. It's on Product Hunt as well, so shout out to them. Give them an upvote. So let me know in the comments if you find some tools that you like and that you keep coming back to. I'd personally love to try out some new stuff. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.